Hey, how's it going? It's Frank Anaya. Hello. Have you ever felt that you have all these ideas in your mind and you're trying to actually make sense of them, but how in the world do you do that? Well, I'm going to show you below a system that I've developed, which is taking my ideas, taking them out of my head, put them in here, and on the basis of this, we ask questions. We are able to really start seeing movement. The moment we shift from I have nothing to do, what am I going to do, to actually having a tool. And by the way, I'm testing something out, which is this new format, this new way of interacting with thoughts and ideas. And I'd love to hear if this is working for you, if you see that there's a benefit in me continuing to do this. Here's a tool. I'm going to give you a system, I'm going to give you a metaphor, and then also give you a question that will enable you to shift from having way too many ideas and feeling stuck, like a lot in my head, to actually having a way to explain and express yourself. So if this is something that's interesting, keep watching. Those who stay to the end, there's a free bonus. All right, there you go. How's that for pitching you? What would I want to see? Simple question, powerful in its depth. There's oftentimes the sense of disconnection between what we're doing, what we're reading, what we actually buy for, and what we're producing. And the disconnect happens from not having a clear sense that we belong. And what I mean by that is putting yourself into the mix is how you put your heart. Now, granted, at the beginning, especially when we're starting any new skill, we're not confident in the least bit, which leads to us feeling unsure, feeling like we need to go learn more, we need to do more. But my friends, that's not it. Start with where you're at and understand your heart and your passion is what will come through and what will help someone else in their journey. In particular, though, you can always back up what you're doing by doing and having systems that allow you to track. Ultimately, your output will be quality. But at the beginning, your focus is on this element of quantity. The more you do, the more quality you have, the more you start tracking, the more quality. It's this cycle. To be more specific, what we're looking to do is we're hitting achievements. Because in reality, a lot of the reasons why we feel friction is because we feel there's an obstacle. And that obstacle is really an attempt to understand the intangible essence of what we are. And that intangible shows up as, how will I deliver this great big problem that's so overwhelming? And I'm like, No. When you take a progressive approach, meaning think you go from brain fog to a fog clearing up as you take one step forward, one in front of the other, that's when you start to develop your effectiveness and your human connection. Speaking of human connection, oftentimes what's missing for many of us is we understand the big picture, but what we don't see is how that big picture connects into the root of humanity. Or maybe it's vice versa, where we understand the big picture, or we're rooted in humanity, but we don't see how it all connects. So there's this happy middle ground, and that's what I'm calling the Creator's Garden, the PKM gardening community. On that note, I'm referring and talking to people who are busy. Why? Because the busy person wants a payoff. You don't have time to sit here and watch and just see someone else talk randomly. You need immediate results yesterday. While that level of urgency is what's preached and taught in a lot of the business cycles, it's different when you do it for yourself, when you're the busy thinker, when you have 100 to 300 plus ideas. And by some extent, that's probably the number of messages and emails that the average busy executive has. But I ask you, how much of that is output? There's a lot coming your way. How much is it you actually outputting? What if you could take a tenth of those hundreds and possibly thousands of ideas you get every day? How could you see that through? That's the tipping point. That's the change agent when we realize I'm not here to simply take everyone's ideas and pop them into my head and kind of respond and react like a run around like a chicken without a head, right? As the saying goes. No, you are a human being rooted in your own humanity. And as such, you have a garden bed of thought. Let me put that into the frame. This is it. A garden where you plant. You're in control. Some ideas to kind of guide us here is there's a trough, right? There's a place where you nurture, you nourish, you bring back the place and the value there. You become a cultivator, a gardener, rather than the reality of many, which is you allow the weeds to surface, and these weeds overgrow their space, and they choke out the beauty that's already inherent to you. Then you allow maybe the insects and the scarecrows and all the birds that come and take off your seed, and at that point, what's it for, right? In reality, your mind is like a root system where your soil is nourishing itself, where there's nutrients, where you're able to plant, nurture, and harvest. And that's the PKM planting method that I'm bridging, that I'm bringing. Because at the core, there's a seed of greatness. And you know what that seed is? It's your ideas. Consider this. If you were to plant one seed, let's say of a watermelon, how many seeds can that produce? Oh, exponentially, right? One seed can generate one watermelon. But out of that watermelon, there could be up to 300 seeds, if not more. Can you imagine planting each of these 300 seeds? So from one watermelon, you jump to 300. What if each of these 300 in itself planted another 300? We're talking magnitudes, levels of exponential return. And that's what happens when you're able to take your ideas, your thoughts, and you take one seed connected to one idea. 1 out of 300. Look at that connection, right? 300 ideas. Plant your watermelons. Feed your family! But not only your family, give yourself the trust and tap into the remarkable bounty of generosity and creativity that exists in nature and within yourself. And when you do that, we lead this pathway towards infinite growth. And that, my friends, is the connection, the creator's garden, the sense of being able to take who you are and realizing that you're not competing. In reality, you're cultivating your own soil. And in doing so, that's the beauty of expansion, of creation, of opening yourself up. And the way you can do that is by being intentional, by having the systems that support you as a person, your scaffolding. You need the tools, just like a good gardener does. You need the environment, which a good gardener does. But what you need more than anything is the realization that you can build an ecosystem where you are in command, when you are in control, and not the tools, not the shovels. You are the one who's in charge. If you like this talk, if you like this message, please subscribe, join my community. I'm helping other thoughtful, creative gardeners take their ideas as well and make the shift in realizing that it never was about the tool or the systems. It was really always about themselves. But it never hurts, right, to have that tool and that system. And I am talking about that. Talk soon. Join me. I'd love to hear about you. Let me know if anything that resonates. I'll be talking more about the particular tools in the Creator's Garden, things like Notion and Obsidian, because I think it's time. It's time we all take a stand towards planting and cultivating our own land and sharing the gifts from the bounty of a generous expression.